quick update before we go into prime. I've basically just been, actually, there we go, taking all the final bits off. Well, not all of them, there are a few smaller bits that will be getting added, but essentially the bits that are sort of big enough that will require priming. So at the moment, popped a bit of foam stuff, a bit of masking tape in the wheel wells, a little bit of foam in the front cowling as well. Next thing I need to do is well, that's been put on with PVA glue, done the masking as well, used the mask set that was in the kit, which is really good. So that it was really simple, just lift off and you got it all going up to the edges perfectly, and then just use some regular I'd say Tamiya knockoff masking tape just to fill in the bits in the middle, but that's fine. The main bit is going up to the edges. So what I want to do is to pop that on there. Now there are two different versions of the canopy. They both look similar, one's for closed, one's for open. To be honest, this one could actually be used for being in the closed position, but I think there must be some little notches, just very small, that just help it sort of locate to the correct place when it's in the slid back position. But I will use that because it does marry up quite well, and to do that, to hold that into place, I've got some white tack. I've been pulling it and stretching it just to get it loosened up a bit. So we'll take a blob of this and then pop in there. Leave a little bit of that just sticking proud, and then hopefully, I don't want to damage, there's some bits of photo-etch at the top of the seats. Hopefully I can just push that into place. There we are. And what I would do is when I prime, before putting the grey primer down, I'll just spray a bit of black over there, just so on the inside it will give the impression that was the black in there. So that's fine, that's going to be ready for priming. What I will do is I will give it a wipe over with some isopropyl alcohol just to make sure it's nice and clean. These bits taken off, there are some little bits like little sort of compression sort of bits there. Those had to be stuck on, so I thought actually I'll do that, and then those can all be primed at the same time. I think I'd already put a little bit of paint over the prop, but there's a bit there. We just need to make sure that the seams join up. The other thing as well, there's two tanks. One's got a bit of a notch taken out, so obviously so it doesn't scrape on the ground. And I have sort of filed, I might just need to run a little bit of filler on those edges. I have sort of filed it down, but I can still feel each of those. Not too sure which one I use. The instructions actually just don't actually have a specific type. So I will prep both of those maybe and see which one looks best. But apart from that, everything else has all been sort of filed down. One thing that I did notice as well is there are masks for the tyres and for the wheel hubs that go in there. However, it does look like they drop in, so I'm not too sure why I'd want to use masking sets when that would actually just drop in anyway. But we'll see, because if I can paint those separately and just drop the wheel hubs in, that would make life easier. So it does seem a bit odd to have masking set for that. So basically what I'm going to do now, I'll put a little bit of filler just on those side seams on there, just to make sure that they're fine, and then it's going to be a case of getting the spray gun out, and then spray gun, airbrush, and then just getting it. And what I'll probably be doing is using used it on the last one I built, the MRP, the fine surface primer in grey. And the reason I thought I'd use this one is because it seemed to go down quite nice when I used it, and there is some very fine details on there, some rivets, and I don't want to use a primer that's going to go too thick, and this went down on a model previously quite nice and thin, so I'm hoping that will prime yet still keep the details. So that's the plan for that one. But first of all, I'm going to just tidy up these. You don't need to see me do that, and then we'll get the spray booth set up and get spraying. So if I haven't said it for a while, make sure you click the like and subscribe and the follow, and see how we get on with this build. But yeah, definitely coming together now, and actually there's only a small number of parts really left to go. Once it all gets painted, we'll be sticking these bits on, paint it up, weather it up, on to the next one. Brilliant. I don't know if anyone spotted my mistake that I done yesterday. When I was doing the priming, just as I was starting to prime, I realised I hadn't put any black over the canopy, so it looks black on the insides. But don't worry, that's fine. As I started it, I just made sure I didn't get too much of a primer on the canopy itself, so I can spray that in now. If I get a bit of over onto the primer, that's fine, because of course it's still going to be having the top colour coming on. And also what I'll be doing is putting black over for the pre-shading. So what I've done is I thought, as I'm going to be putting some black on, I've put a bit of the MRP Tyre one in there. So what I'll do, I know it's not exactly the same grey as what will be on the inside, but that's fine, to be honest. If there are any major issues, I can always take this off, which, you know, this is only held on the pre-tack, take it off, mask up the inside, and paint or just carefully hand brush. But I don't think there's going to be any issues, but I do know I have got that as a backup. So what I'll do is put a bit of black on here using the rubber one, so then I can actually blow some onto the tyres anyway, and then what's left in there, just do a little bit of pre-shading, probably not a huge amount, just around the exhaust sort of things. Let's first of all get a little bit of that on the canopy. Right, now for the pre-shading. I'm just going to stick to the exhaust exits, actually blow a little bit of black in the cartridge chutes and sort of the main sort of parts, and then any left over might just go a little bit over. Let's fill those in first. Should have painted those beforehand. A bit annoying that I didn't, and I don't think it said in the instructions. If it did, I missed it. Just a bit of splash in there. So I'm putting that on there because there's also a metallic that's going to be going on there as well for those square bits there. Just blow a little bit into that lower wheel as well. Now let's just do some of these panel lines. I'm mainly concentrating this on the bottom as well, because the bottom is just a single colour, whereas the top I have the camouflage scheme on, which I personally find does break up quite a lot of any pre-shading anyway. So at the moment I'm going to just concentrate this on the bottom anyway. pre-shading of the 190 is now done, so it's now time to get some colour on, and the colour I'm going to be using for this main camouflages, although I've done the MRP primer and used some MRP for the pre-shading, that goes on nice and thin. I'm now going to be using the Vallejo Model Air acrylic paints for the actual main colour scheme. I've done a 109 using these paints, so in the same scale, so thought I'll use the same paints for this, so when they're sat next to each other on the shelf, they will have similar tones. And basically the colours I'll be using is just the first four on here. Looking at this, just in case anyone has this, you really only need the first four colours. The other ones are sort of duplicated that weren't really used, but are variations of that shade, I think. As the war went on, mixes kind of went a little bit more haphazard, so it's very similar. But to be honest, if you were to use the first four up and go on to those, I'm sure no one would really notice, or you could use those for a little bit of variation, possibly for shading, those sort of things, if you wanted to. So just I'd let you know. And the one I'm actually going to be using for now, the underside and also the sides, which is the RLM76. So that is the light blue. Pop those aside for now. I'm giving this a shake up, so essentially doing the undersides. Here's the scheme I'll be doing, which has got the yellow and the red flash. Oh, hang on, did something move that shouldn't do? Hang on, I don't know if that's just my imagination or did I actually knock something? That seems to be. No, it must have just. Okay, well let's not fiddle. If it's in place, just let's leave it. Right, okay, so I'm going to use that one. Now, convention says that what I should have done was to paint that and mask it up beforehand. I'm going to go rogue, I'm going to paint it all and then do that. Hopefully, I don't want to put the paint on too thick around that area so we don't have too much, but I know you should do those lighter colours and do it. I'm just going to get on and get this done and mottle it over and then spray that on afterwards. Plus, also want to make sure I get the width of that stripe, because that's the only part of the decal. There's the little stripe that goes across there, and make sure that the reds and yellows match. So I'm going to pop that on, and also got to remember it not only goes on the bottom, but it goes quite high up on the side of the fuselage, and of course on the tail plane, because of course that's then got the mottling effect there. So it's just something to bear in mind when doing this. Don't just do the bottoms, make sure you do go quite up, to not actually very far short of where the canopy is. And also got my gear bay doors and also the two fuel tanks. So what I'll do is I'll paint both of those and see which one actually looks the best or which one I use. I think they're both interchangeable, so let's get a bit of paint in here and get spraying. So I've given this a good shake up. What we could do is a little bit of flow improver. This is the Vallejo flow improver. Probably should have put that in first. I will just give that a mix with the cocktail stick. I do find that does help it go down. And I must admit I'm not the greatest fan of Vallejo paints, but I got them. And to be honest, you put up with a bit of a sticky needle, and that's okay. So let's get this on and get spraying. Now the pre-shading's dry. What I've done, no point you watching me do this, but yeah, pre-shading's on and masked up. So masked up the bottom colour, so with that grey. A few little things just to mention about it though is, well, basically haven't done all along the bottom because I'm not going to be coming from that way, so that should be fine. It's going to be coming down from the top, but I have noticed there's side panels, especially here, that's more obvious, that one. It doesn't seem to be quite as obvious there, but side panel, the kind of comes down. It seems to be a bit of armour plating that comes down there. It's not on all the versions, but it's on that one, but not, say for example, yeah, it's on that one, but not this one, say for example, where you can see there's a goes there. Now I can't quite work out if this is hard edge or soft edge. Obviously this would be a bit more of a softer edge, but there seems to be definitely a line along here. What I've done is I've masked up to protect that paint. So what I would do is get a harder line for this going along laterally, longitudinally, half that line. Won't do any of the mottling on it yet, just basically get the main camouflage colours, the solid blocks of it. I have just masked around there. It's not absolutely precise, in fact I might have gone a little bit over, but that's mainly just so the when I'm doing the yellow and the red, I'm going to have a lighter colour of the primer to go over. It's not absolutely essential, but I thought I'll do it that way. But essentially I can get that done, and then when I'm doing the mottling I will then try to freehand feather blend it in, but some of it does seem quite, especially that side bit there, it does seem like the panel has actually got hard edges to it, so I thought I'll do the hard edges, I can soften them up later. So next part is just going to be painting, and I'm going to be now doing the RLM75, which is the grey colour, the grey violet. So don't need to mask this up, I'll be painting those areas. I'll probably go a little bit over to make sure that then I can sort of use the blue tack sausages for the masking, so when doing the green. So at the moment I'm really just doing those sort of areas on the wings of the tailplane and a bit on there, so just going to get those bits in, and then what we'll do is be able to then get on, once that's dried, get on with the green, then take the masking off and then do the mottling and the detail bits. So let's get some of this in the airbrush and let's get painting. One thing to note, after I've done this bit, notice there is going to be a hard line there, so you need to make sure that this wing root, I then put a mask on at the bottom of that protective panel there. Okay, starting to give it wet to make sure I ease off there. Right, so we've got the grey down and masked that over, and so what I've got some blue tack, or white tack actually, and used that just to mask over, roll it out into sausages, put it, and then what's quite useful actually is you can kind of squidge it into place, which does mean, actually let's bring it a little bit closer, so I could say, for example, I need a little bit of a notch there, I could squeeze it a little bit just to push it out there, push it back in, so it is sort of malleable, that's the word I was looking for. And so I've used that to follow the guide on here. Only one time did I actually try to mask up the wrong area. I started masking that one and did it in reverse. I've detacked the tape a little bit as well, just by putting it on my arm, peeling it off a few times, just so hopefully it won't peel off. But I have given it 24 hours, and I do find the Vallejo paint does need, although it dries within a half hour or so, touch dry within 5 minutes, sort of feels dry quite quickly. I do find it actually needs about 24 hours over a primer so it doesn't actually peel off. I do find it does come off, and I'm still worried that when I take the masking off, even though I've detacked it, still going to have to be doing a bit of a filling in. But hopefully got this done. So quite a large bit of green's going down the fuselage there, patches of green here, and got those side panels. So just to recap, I know I've got a hard edge on here. I'm not too sure whether it's completely hard edge. Probably the blue tack sausages, probably in hindsight, would have been best, just to kind of give it that hard but not completely solid edge. But that should be fine, because when I'm then putting in the mottling, that will to blend it in a little bit as well. But you're not having mottling on the wings, so I'm sure a little bit of mottling on the sides will just take the edge off those hard edges. But it does look like there that you do actually have some hard edges on there. So a little bit of masking here and there. Let's get this one in there. This is the Vallejo RLM74 colour. That's the German RLM74, which is the green grey, which is the greener colour on here. So let's get a bit of this in the airbrush, and let's get some spray on. I've got to say that actually this one's going down a bit better than it was yesterday. Don't know whether it's just because I've thinned it or something, but this one does definitely seem to be going down a bit better, not as speckly. I don't want to talk too soon. I might have actually overdone it with the thinner and the flow improver, because this is quite wet at the moment. It's taking a while to dry, however it should be levelling quite nicely. But definitely got a bit of a shiny finish right at the moment. That's because it's taking a while just to dry, but that might be right. It's spraying a bit better than yesterday. A bit wetter mix, and I think we can now just run out of the paint. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect. Okay, so I needed a little bit in there. Let's get that cleaned up and leave that to dry. And once that's dried a bit, at least touch dry, I can then get that masking off and then just let it give it. Let's just bring a bit better in there. That's fine. So you can definitely see, actually from that camera, definitely see that's a lot more. A lot shiny, a lot wetter, and that's because I put a little bit of the airbrush thinner just to make sure that the flow was going okay, and then in that I then also added a few drops of the flow improver, probably 2 drops of that, but because there was only a couple of drops going in the top of the airbrush, there probably wasn't actually that much. It's quite a higher ratio than probably what there should have been, but it went out nice. No sticking, no jamming, no spitting too much, but it's it has just made it quite wet. So let's just wait, give it a while. It's actually starting to dry off over there. I think we've got good coverage. Just give that a little bit of time to dry, then we can get that mask off. And as I say, leave it for 24 hours as well, just to make sure that properly cures before we go on to putting any more masking on it. But I'm not too sure what other masking that we do. Oh, yeah, I will need to put masking for the little markings around there, and of course there's some black parts down by the exhaust. So yeah, there will be a few bits of masking before the decals go on. But at the moment, I've got to say, pleased with how that's going. So let's get the airbrush cleaned up and let that dry. Right then, so we're back with the 190, and it's time to get some camouflage on there. Well, I've got the camouflage on there, more the mottling, and this is the bit that, of course, everyone dreads with this. So, got the camouflage, which was put on with the
blue tack sausages, and then on the side got the hard lines. Now realise there's a little bit of had a few issues there where I had to do a bit of cleaning up. However, I'm not too worried about that because the mottling I can actually is random, so I can just sort of put over. There's a few little touches that just need a little bit of touch up, or just cover up, which is the easiest thing to do. It looks like with this scheme the mottling is done with both the RLM 75 and the 74. The 75 is the more the grey one, which is the lighter of those, so we'll do that one first. And it does look on here as so the, let's see, there we go, it's not like really big mottles, it is quite light. Oh, one thing I will mention as well, I've put on the swastika decal because that goes on first before the mottling goes on, and then the other crosses and the other markings go on there. But some do seem to have the, for example here, the mottling is a lot more larger and more pronounced. Here it's a lot in the more lighter colours. So it's one of the things that I did notice, that this one tends to be quite small and quite light, so quite fine, whereas this one, yeah, it's a lot more diffuse, larger blocks of it. Whether how accurate that is, we'll see, but it does appear that they haven't just done a cut and paste job on each of those, so it's going to pay just to try to get more smaller, tighter with the lighter colours. So let's put a bit of this in here. So I'll do a couple of drops of the RLM, I think this was 75. Yeah, just a couple of drops in there. I don't want too much of it. I'll do one more drop though. And I will just add one drop of the airbrush flow improver as well. And just get a bit of a cocktail stick. Give that a mix. I've got quite a low pressure on. I've taken the little end cap off, and the idea is I just want to get in quite tight and just do that's sort of what I'm looking for. Little dots like that, and I'm going to have to make sure I don't get any build up on there. I don't want too much splotches coming out. So first of all, I've got a bit of a mark on there, so let's just put a little bit of a little on there, just slowly pull back. And that's just seems to have got mainly thinner come through there. Go through, just make sure I've got. Right, I'm going to start off and just work my way onto this one. There we go. So just put one little mottle just over where that bit is. There's a few other little areas there. Now the mottling isn't actually, yeah, it does just sort of flow in, so that's okay. Okay, I'm just sort of working it along this top bit where we're just going to bring it in. There we go. I'm just getting a little bit of speckling around. I'm just going to practice around this area here, just because I know that the decal is going to be going over there, so I'm trying to make sure I get in. Okay. That's better. Okay, now we're going to getting some mottling on now. I've been having a few issues with this, so pretty much what I'm doing is I'm just spraying it on. I've done one side kind of, need to come and tidy it up, because essentially what's happening is I'm putting down the mottling, but I'm getting lots of overspray, little speckles around, which will need tidying up. So I'm just working on this side. At the moment we're using the green, so I'm just starting to put some of these down. What I'm having to do is I've taken the little cap bit off. Let's give this a bit more of a clean, just keep that needle as clean as possible, because what's happening is we're getting the little speckles. If the mixture's too wet, too thinned, what's happening is you get the little spider legs bits. What I'm having to do is lower pressure and very gently pull back, just to let a bit of paint out and slowly build it up. But you can see they're still getting lots of speckles around. So we're going to just put a few bits on here, but at least I'm not getting those sort of, I think, you know, spider legs sort of crawling around it. But I'm also having to try to cover up use the opportunity to cover up a few little patches that need a bit of covering up. So it is getting that sort of randomness. I think the contrast on the video might actually be a little bit more than what you're probably seeing in real life, but just trying to build it up, because I found if the pressure's too much higher, then we're getting those speckles, and it's just sort of putting these random bits. But you can see here, a little line, just use the airbrush to point. That's obviously where we've got a bit of bleed through from that panel there. So what I can try to do is use that as a opportunity just to put a little bit of mottling over it, just to cover that up, and we've got a bit more there. Right, so this is the green, but we will be also coming over with the greyer one as well. But what I'm going to have to do, which I did when I did the 109 a few years back, is to get once the why have we got bubbling in the cup? Is to get some IPA on a cocktail stick, cotton bud, and then basically use that to try to clean the speckles off. I found that actually worked quite well, and of course a bit of weathering all helps. But let's get a bit more of this on the tail. So just different sizes. I don't want them all just to be about the same, and they are quite varied. Yeah, like there, we could just went down a bit too heavy, but we got a bit of a Now, of course, there's going to be a band going there, and it does look from the instructions that the band was painted on. It was very solid. Looks like that the banding was actually painted on after the paint and the mottling. But it's interesting to note, the actual swastika itself was painted on before the mottling, so it was almost like the swastika was added on in the factory with the basic camouflage, and then it would be given to the unit. The unit would then apply their own mottling, and then once they'd applied the mottling, they'd then apply the banding, which seems a bit of an odd way around to do it. So I'm just going to come back to this side and just try to neaten up a few bits where it didn't come down too well first of all. Also still got a bit of the green in here. I don't want it to be going on too thick, and it's going on a little bit too thick in places. Okay, got the mottling down, and I've just been using a bit of IPA on a cotton bud just very carefully, because I don't want to use too much, just to try to get off some of the speckles. Don't want to do too much because otherwise it's removing the base coat. The problem I've got, one side was easier because actually I'm still working on it, but yeah, because obviously the base coat had a lot longer to do, but I did do a few mottles on that side the other day, and of course that's now cured, so a bit tougher. Still a bit of overspray and everything there, that's fine. It's just actually trying to get rid of the larger bits and just sort of neaten things up, but it's going to be getting weathered and everything as well, so I know it's a bit of a cop out, but some of these areas yeah, I can actually, where there's maybe a bit too much overspray, well, there's going to be decals actually going down those bits as well, which probably will actually hide quite a few sins, so that's fine. So the combination of the decals on each side, the big cross, and yeah, that, and a bit of weathering, and of course we've still got the band to go around there and the panels there, so it should be fine. But it's just I'm probably being more pedantic, but there's just a few bits where we've got that speckling, I want to get that off. So let's look at where we're up to now. So done the mottling, and hopefully you can see it hasn't turned out too bad. I have got some speckles on there, and what I did using a cotton bud, actually not that cotton bud in particular, but using a cotton bud, I got some thinners on there, some IPA, and actually just sort of rubbed to take off some of the speckles on there. What I have done is I've now actually bought a new nozzle and a needle for the airbrush, which should hopefully stop the speckling, but that's a bit late with this one. And what's also quite obvious is the banding. So you do get the decal for a little red stripe that goes there. I'm going to see if I can actually paint that in myself though. But yeah, so just mask that up. Coat of white just for a base, couple of coats of the just medium yellow there, and then for the another little stripe over there, and this is the ROTS yeah, RML23 or RLM even 23, and so that's the red, and also just done some of the little tabs on the wings. Those are the little yeah, little trim tabs. A little bit of bleed here and there, which is a little bit annoying. But next thing I'm going to be doing is putting on a gloss coat. I'm going to use the MRP Super Clear Gloss Varnish. The reason I'm doing this is because I've got to get the decals on. Now, I've had to put some decals on already, which was the little naughty crosses, shall we say, that go on there. And unfortunately, you can probably see that light, just catches the light, there's a bit of silvering on there, which to me says that if I now put the rest of the decals on over here, we're going to get silvering. So to try to limit that as much as possible, I want to put down a clear coat. So I'm going to put down this one. Hopefully that will smooth it off, and that should give a nice shiny surface for the decals to go on. I can then weather it and then matte it all down with a matte coat on top of that. And yeah, see how that goes, because there's a little decal to go in there, which might try painting it, we'll see. But the main thing is just get that clear gloss varnish on there, and hopefully give that 24 hours to go off. That should go for a nice surface to get the decals on.